Hi everyone, my name is Courtney and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over my loose goals for 2022. Even though it is midway through January, I'm still trying to figure out what I want for my reading, what I want for this channel, and other things. So I think these goals might change and adjust as I find more specific things, but I at least have something written down. So let's go over my reading goals first. I want to read 50 books. Easy peasy. I would like to get to 100, but that is not always possible, so we will see. I would like to read my TBR books. I have about 15 books on my TBR, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of BookTube. Some people have much more than me. I really like having barely any books on my TBR and really just picking up things from the bookstore as I like to read them. It's just something that I really enjoy doing. I really like shopping for books and doing that process, and I get to do it more when I don't have a ton of books to read. A goal I have every year is to finish series or to stay on top of series, and specifically the series I'm going to be focusing on this year are the Girls of Paper and Fire, which I already completed, the Wayfarers series, which I have one more book in, the Graceling Realms series, which I have the new book to read, and then the Exogenesis series, which is the Dawn, Adulthood Rights, and Imago by Octavia Butler. I've read the first book, so I need to complete the second and third book in that series, and I'd like to do that this year. My next goal is to keep up with my reading stats. So if you don't know, this whole last year, my big thing was trying to diversify my reading more, to hold myself accountable, and to understand how I was reading and slowly begin to change that in a way that I wanted it to look like. Last year was all about understanding how I thought I was reading versus what it actually looked like. And this is talking about how many queer authors I read, how many people of color I read, what kinds of people of color I was reading from. And so last year was really holding myself accountable and reading a certain number of statistical percentages. There have been a lot of discussions about having goals like that and reading like that and all that kind of stuff. While counting and being very logical, statistical about it doesn't work for everybody, it does work for me in seeing if I'm reading the way I want to be reading and the way I think that I'm reading. So it's something that I do want to keep up into the next year, is to keep those statistics fairly consistent and to fix some of the numbers that I wasn't happy with last year. And you can see my whole statistic video and goals and stuff like that. Those are up on my channel if you're more curious about that kind of stuff. But I think the big thing that I do want to work on this year is reading more translated works or reading more works by non-American voices. And I kind of want to lump in that I want to read books written by people that are not in the English-speaking world. So Canada, New Zealand, Australia, the UK. I want to read translated works or authors that come from different countries than those. Most of my reading tends to be American and UK, which makes sense because of how the English and American publishing industry is, but I really do want to push myself to read more translated works from Asian countries, from African countries, from South American countries, whether that means they're translated or not. That's what I'm kind of working towards. And then a statistic from last year that I want to work on this year again is to read more nonfiction. I wanted to read 7 nonfiction last year. Because of my low reading, I didn't make that. I only read 3 books, which was the same as 2020. Because I only read 69 books, technically percentage-wise, I did reach the amount of nonfiction I wanted to read, but going forward into this year, I do want to step it up and at least read 5 nonfiction, if not more. But those are kind of my goals for my reading. My reading tastes have definitely changed a lot over the years. I think I'm definitely going to be focusing a lot more on adult fantasy and sci-fi, just more adult books in general. I do like to read a YA, and I think I'll end up reading a lot of YA, but it's not really where my interest is holding me these days. I do want to get more back into classics and literary fiction, but I do think adult fantasy and sci-fi is going to be a bigger focus for me. But I would, however, like to read more speculative fiction. I've been reading a lot less of it since I've gotten out of my master's degree, and it was kind of a big focus for me, especially with the kind of short stories that I wanted to write. I really want to get back into writing and into that, so I think reading more speculative fiction will help with that. As for my channel goals, I just want more vlogs, more reviews, more recommendation videos. I want more content on my channel, but also more diversified content. I want to start taking better Instagram photos and editing them better. I'm pretty lazy in just editing them on my phone and taking them on my phone when I do have a nice camera, so I want to get better at that and better at editing. And I think my biggest thing is that I don't want to rush filming. Oftentimes I kind of run to filming really quickly. I kind of speed through it. I make a lot of mistakes and blunders. I'm someone that kind of mumbles my words, who fumbles my words, and I think it delivers like a less than valuable product in some of my filming, especially because sometimes, a lot of the time, most of the time, I come without a script, without an idea of what I want. And I think some of my favorite videos of 2021 were the videos where I scripted stuff, where I had stuff written down, where I was very prepared, and those videos just turned out a lot better, and they were just videos I was really proud of, so I want to be better about that. And then kind of like the big overarching question for my channel is there anything I want to learn this year? I always put off learning about video software, video editing, how to film. In a lot of ways, I still don't know a lot of what I'm doing. And so kind of, I think one of the big questions I want to ask myself this year is, do I actually want to learn a specific skill for anything? Is there anything I want to learn? Is there something specific that I want to get good at? And once I answer that question, setting aside the time to do that. For my personal goals, my personal big goal is to find a job. I am currently, well, not currently because I'm at home, but I'm currently living in New York City. And when I come back from the holidays, I need to start focusing on and looking for a full-time job, which I've been doing for the past, 8 months since I graduated in May, and it's been really difficult and I have not found one yet. So I need to keep working on that. Finding a job for anybody my age is just really difficult for whatever reason. A lot of us are struggling, and it's really easy to get discouraged and to become unmotivated for it, but I need to get back in the swing of things for that, so I can be financially stable and all that good stuff. And the other thing that I want to do is to get back into writing. After my thesis defense, I kind of just melted into a puddle. There was some writing that I did do or try to do, didn't really ever go anywhere. I have kind of a fun, bigger indie novel that I want to work on, as well as some short stories, so I need to get back into that pace again, because one, it keeps me very productive in my other tasks. When I have a day-to-day goal and checklist that I need to do, one, I get a lot of writing done, but I also just do all my other tasks as well. So that's something that I would like to focus on, is like scheduling my life and being more productive in my life. And I think that will help me, one, find a job, and two, write more. And hopefully maybe go into publishing. At some point, I would like to publish something. And again, I have some questions for myself for my personal goals, and that is, what do I want this year to look at, and what do I want to be this year? Like, what kind of person I want to grow into. Since I don't have like a lot of specific goals, personal goals, I think those things are really important to looking to. And I think I can apply it to my reading and my YouTube as well. It's like, who do I want to grow into? Who do I want to be on these different platforms, as well as in my personal life? I'm not putting on a facade, but I do want to continue to grow and change as a person. And like, who does that person look like? And then along with that, what do I want my life to look like, and how do I achieve that? Even though I don't have like a specific image in mind yet, I think just having that question out there will help me find that answer, and when I do, I can hopefully take the steps to achieve it. But yeah, this was really fun. I really like having goals. Again, when I have these goals, when I write them out and have very specific things in mind that I want, it makes it a lot easier to achieve those goals, for me at least. I don't always achieve them, but I always try, and making that effort is better than not getting there at all. So I know that this is a step in the right direction, but thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know what your goals for this year are, whether reading or otherwise, but thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later, and happy reading.